The location of Moses. Regarding the events that transpired in the days leading up to Moses' death, God has made the decision to withhold this information from us. Moses ascended the heights of Mount Nebo, while Israel camped out in the plains of Moab. From there, he had a clear view of the entire Promised Land, all the way to the coast of the Western Sea. Now Moses went up from the plains of Moab to Mount Nebo, to the top of Pisgah, which is opposite Jericho. And the Lord showed him all the land, Gilead as far as Dan, and all Naphtali, and the land of Ephraim and Manasseh, and all the land of Judah as far as the Western Sea, and the Negev, and the territory in the valley of Jericho, the city of palm trees as far as Zoar. Deuteronomy chapter 34 verses 1 to 3. What an honorable title! Moses is distinguished as the servant of Jehovah. At the end of Moses' life, God gave Moses a glimpse of the land he had left Egypt for. Moses climbed Mount Nebo from the plains of Moab to the top of Pisgah. There is a Pisgah where we also must pass and be gathered to our fathers. May we climb to it as willingly as did Moses, the servant of God. The manner of Moses' death is exceedingly remarkable. The circumstances surrounding Moses' passing are pretty extraordinary. Mount Pisgah has a summit elevation of 4,500 feet, nearly a mile. There aren't many 120-year-old men who can climb a mountain almost a mile high and live to tell the tale. Yet here was Moses, nearly a century and a quarter old, climbing to the top of a 4,500-foot high peak and having a great time once there. Moses is not full of self-pity. The extraordinary scene of the man of God standing alone on the summit of the mountain, with a view of Canaan spread out below him. He was not allowed to enter the Promised Land due to the event that occurred in Numbers chapter 20 verses 7 to 12. His death was the culmination of his life. Moses died according to the word of the Lord. Moses died by himself, but in peace. The tale of his death is found in the final 6 lines of Deuteronomy chapter 34. After death comes burial, and so it was in the case of Moses. But verse 6 contains one of the most remarkable statements about the whole remarkable career of Moses. Deuteronomy chapter 34 verse 6. And he buried him in the valley in the land of Moab, opposite Beth Peor. But no one knows his burial place to this day. God personally buried Moses, the only person in the Bible. Have you taken note of that? The Lord proceeded to hide the tomb after that. What was it that drove him to act in this manner? Because a shrine could have been built on top of that grave. They would still be making their way up Mount Nebo to this day, constructing shrines, selling popcorn and peanuts, providing a variety of rides, and possibly even sending a tram up there with enormous banners proclaiming Moses' burial place. Therefore, it was a secret. This was of such vital importance to the Lord that it even precipitated a conflict between angels. The book of Jude includes one of the more peculiar accounts of this event that can be found in the Bible. Jude writes, "But even the archangel Michael, when he was disputing with the devil, Satan, and arguing about the body of Moses, did not dare bring an abusive condemnation against him, but simply said, 'The Lord rebuke you.'" Jude verse 9. It would appear that the devil had his own ideas about what he could do with Moses' body, but God responded, "Never. I claim ownership of his body, in the same manner that I do his soul, and I intend for the grave to remain undiscovered for all time." The end of the story. All things have their proper wrap-up, as does the story of Moses. No matter what Satan had in mind, we are certain that it could not have been good. He steals, kills, and destroys. While these strategies do not appear to be subtle, Satan can make even stealing, killing, and destroying appear to be subtle. He has the power to steal God's word from the heart of anyone who hears it by asking, "Has God really said?" Now Michael, according to this account, stands up in defense of Moses, and in the zeal of an upright and bold spirit says to Satan, "The Lord rebuke thee." Others think that Satan wanted to desecrate the body of Moses, but consider that God had another purpose for Moses' body, which Satan wanted to defeat. Moses appears in bodily form with Elijah, whose body was caught up to heaven at the Transfiguration. Matthew chapter 17 verses 1 to 3. 6 days later, Jesus took with him Peter and James and John, the brother of James, and led them up on a high mountain by themselves. And his appearance changed dramatically in their presence, and his face shone with heavenly glory, clear and bright like the sun. And his clothing became as white as light. And behold, Moses and Elijah appeared to them, talking with Jesus. And perhaps Moses and Elijah are the two witnesses of Revelation 11. Revelation chapter 11 verse 6. These two witnesses have the power from God to shut up the sky, so that no rain will fall during the days of their prophesying regarding judgment and salvation. And they have power over the waters, seas, rivers, to turn them into blood, and to strike the earth with every kind of plague as often as they wish. It would appear that God had a task that needed to be accomplished with the body of Moses before the time of the general resurrection. Consequently, God made a special provision for himself to be the one to bury Moses' body. And perhaps God preserved the body of Moses in some way. God wanted to protect the body of Moses, so no one knows his grave to this day. Seemingly, they searched for it, as would be expected, out of a desire to memorialize this great leader of the nation.